Trump unhappy with Iran's latest proposal to end the war. Geopolitics and geoeconomics drive India's free trade agreement flurry. Iran willing to share defensive capabilities with Asian partners, Deputy Defense Minister. Iranian defense official holds talks with Belarusian ministers. Trump says ABC should fire late-night host Kimmel after expectant widow commentary. U.S. President Donald Trump has expressed dissatisfaction with Iran's latest proposal aimed at resolving the ongoing two-month conflict, according to a senior U.S. official. The development has reduced expectations for a near-term resolution to a war that has disrupted global energy supplies, driven inflation, and resulted in thousands of casualties. Iran's proposal suggests postponing discussions on its nuclear program until after the conflict, currently paused under a ceasefire announced earlier this month, comes to an end. The proposal also prioritizes resolving disputes over Gulf shipping routes before addressing nuclear concerns. However, President Trump has rejected this sequencing, insisting that nuclear issues must be addressed at the outset of any agreement. The official, who spoke on condition of anonymity, confirmed that this position was reiterated during a White House advisory meeting on April 28. White House spokesperson Olivia Wales stated that the United States has been clear about its red lines as it continues efforts to end the conflict, which began in February in coordination with Israel. India and New Zealand have signed a free trade agreement, FTA, in New Delhi on April 27, with initial media coverage largely focusing on tariffs and market access. However, analysts note that the agreement reflects broader geopolitical and geoeconomic shifts, shaping global trade. The deal marks India's seventh bilateral FTA in the past 3.5 years, highlighting New Delhi's accelerating trade diplomacy. With ongoing negotiations involving the European Union and the United States, India's total agreements could soon reach 9 FTAs, covering 38 advanced economies and nearly 65 to 70% of global GDP. Across these agreements, India's strategic priorities remain consistent: boosting exports, enhancing agricultural productivity, expanding student mobility, strengthening skills development, attracting investment, and growing the services sector. Under the newly signed agreement, New Zealand has committed approximately $20 billion in investment into India. The country currently invests about 8% of its GDP overseas each year, with total outward investment reaching $422.6 billion as of March 2025. Iran has announced its readiness to share defensive military capabilities with allied nations, particularly members of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization, according to statements made by Deputy Defense Minister Reza Tlaib on Tuesday. Speaking at a meeting of SCO defense ministers in Kyrgyzstan, Tlaib said Tehran is prepared to transfer knowledge and experience gained during its recent conflict with the United States and Israel. He described these lessons as stemming from what he referred to as America's defeat. The conflict, which lasted from late February to early April, saw Iran deploy waves of drones and missiles targeting U.S. bases across the region, as well as Israeli sites. Iranian forces also reported intercepting U.S. aerial assets, primarily unmanned drones, within its airspace. In parallel diplomatic engagements, Iranian defense officials have held discussions with counterparts from Russia and Belarus. Both Moscow and Minsk reaffirmed their commitment to maintaining defense cooperation with Tehran. Russian Defense Minister Andrei Belousov held talks with Iran's Deputy Defense Minister Reza Tlaib in Kyrgyzstan on Monday, according to Russia's state-run TASS news agency. During the meeting, Belousov reaffirmed Moscow's long-standing position that the Iran conflict should be resolved exclusively through diplomatic means. He also expressed confidence that Russia and Iran would continue to support each other amid ongoing regional tensions. Separately, Tlaib visited Belarus, where he met Defense Minister Viktor Krenin. According to Belarus Defense Ministry, the two officials discussed the situation in the Middle East and emphasized the need for a political and diplomatic resolution to the conflict. A statement from the ministry, cited by the Belty news agency, said both sides agreed that progress depends on intensifying negotiations and returning to diplomatic channels. The talks also underscored a shared interest in strengthening cooperation between Minsk and Tehran. U.S. President Donald Trump has called for the immediate dismissal of late-night host Jimmy Kimmel from ABC and its parent company, the Walt Disney Company, following remarks made during a recent broadcast. The criticism comes after Kimmel delivered a parody segment ahead of the upcoming White House Correspondents' Dinner, during which he made a controversial comment about First Lady Melania Trump. The remark drew strong reactions from both the president and the First Lady. Tensions escalated further after a security incident on Saturday at the Washington Hilton, where a shooting occurred in the lobby during a gathering of journalists and political figures. A suspect, identified as Cole Allen, reportedly breached a checkpoint and opened fire, injuring a Secret Service agent before being subdued and arrested. President Trump and the First Lady were escorted from the venue following the incident.